Gary Cooper forever cemented his place as a star of American westerns with his performance in the iconic film High Noon. However, he became famous much earlier than he became one of the icons of the genre. Hollywood opened the gates to him in the era of silent cinema. In his younger years, the future star was known as Frank James Cooper. He was born in 1901 in Helena, Montana. His parents emigrated from England, so although he grew up in what was recently called the Wild West, he was instilled with refined continental manners from childhood. Moreover, in 1909, Frank and his older brother Arthur were sent by their mother to England to attend Dunstable School. They studied there until 1913. After returning home, Frank helped his father on a small ranch and then took a job as a guide in Yellowstone Park. In 1917, Arthur went off to war, and Frank returned to the ranch. Working as a cowboy came easy to him. At 16 he grew to be under 190 centimeters and looked very physically developed. A serious test for him was a car accident, in which the car flipped over the roof several times. Exactly what injuries Frank sustained is unknown, but most likely he had fractures. Specifically, a fractured femur. His on-screen gait, according to experts, is evidence of this. Frank was not very successful in his studies. The only thing that came easily to him was drawing. Entering Iowa at Grinnell College, he became interested in amateur theater. When his father left his position on the Montana Supreme Court in 1925, the family moved to Los Angeles, California. Soon, Frank hooked up with another Montana native, Jay Talbot, who was moonlighting on the set of westerns in Hollywood. Jay explained to Frank that being an extra was easy money, and those who could hold their own in the saddle were always in demand. That's how the future star first got into films. Frank's ambitions somewhat exceeded Jay's. He decided to try himself as a full-fledged actor. To do this, he began to actively go to film auditions. During this period, he changed his name from Frank to Gary. Perhaps Gary Cooper would have remained in the masses, if not for a fortunate accident. On the set of the romantic western The Winning of Barbara Worth, starring Ronald Colman and directed by Henry King, the performer of the role of Abe Lee, a cowboy, one of the contenders for the hand of the central female character, did not show up on the appointed day. Rather than postpone the job, the director decided to replace him. Gary Cooper was there and on the horse. The role immediately went to him. In a key scene, Henry King set the actor the task of portraying a deadly tired messenger. Cooper approached it with all responsibility. He waded in the dust and drove into the frame with an expression of infernal fatigue on his face. When he had rustled up and reached the door, he collapsed like an underfoot. Only in time Ronald Colman's hands saved him from injury. There was applause on the set. Spectacular performance of the role of Abe Lee immediately made Hollywood learn about the existence of Gary Cooper. One of the first to draw attention to the tall young man Clara Bow. She was 4 years younger than the actor, but 2 years more experienced in business. She was considered a rising starlet, an idol of the new generation. She was the sex symbol of the time. Her screen image completely agreed with the way the actress behaved in real life. She liked to have fun, and she loved men. Soon Gary Cooper became her lover. It is to her that he owes his reputation as an exceptionally skillful man in bed. It is said that Clara never missed an opportunity to chat about it. Whether true or not, it is unknown, but she also claimed that Cooper had an exceptionally large manhood. Soon all the Hollywood gossips knew it. Clara got Gary into her soon-to-be landmark film It, 1927. He played a small role as a reporter. But again, he performed it with such talent that he was noticed. No one dared to say that Clara dragged into the cinema worthless protégé. Gary Cooper was appreciated as a competent actor. In the same year, another film starring Clara Bow was released, Children of Divorce. Gary Cooper got the main male role. He honorably withstood the test, played her at her best. Then there was Wings, 1927. William Wellman's Oscar-winning film marked the height of Clara Bow's popularity. Gary Cooper also found a place in it. He played Cadet White. Some wonder, why not one of the main roles? The answer lies in the images of the main characters. The director felt that Cooper's appearance does not fit any of them. Gary Cooper cannot be called an actor of one role. His roles are diverse. However, From the very beginning of his career, he was in demand in westerns. Starting with Arizona Bound, 1927, he steadily appeared in films of this genre as the main character. It was in westerns, the actor showed that the patronage of Clara Bow, it is not the main thing to get him in the cinema. A good reputation secured Gary Cooper a place in one of the first sound westerns, Virginian, a 1929 film based on Owen Whistler's novel of the same name, considered the first literary western. On the set of this film, Cooper met another Hollywood starlet. Her name was Lupe Velez, real name Maria Guadalupe Velez de Villalobos. She was on the set because she was the mistress of director Victor Fleming. Lupe Velez was known as the Mexican lighter and was characterized by fickle intimacy and a hot temper. It is not known when, on the set or later, she seduced Cooper and came from him in such a delight that his fame as the coolest Hollywood lover soared to the skies. In the tradition established by Clara Bow, beauty invited Cooper to a role in her film Wolf Song, 1929. One can only wonder why Gary Cooper was called to the super project of the most fashionable European director of those years, Joseph von Sternberg. Perhaps it was his acquaintance with Emile Jannings. The film Morocco was a triumph for all involved in it, including Cooper. There he met with the star of the tape, Marlene Dietrich. The actress was on the way to becoming a sex symbol of international scale, so it is not surprising that there were rumors about her close acquaintance with the virtues of Gary Cooper. No evidence of mutual impressions has survived. It was a fleeting acquaintance. Their paths diverged. Marlene continued to work with von Sternberg, and Cooper refused to deal with this director, considering him a pervert. Morocco made of Dietrich a star, and Gary Cooper strengthened his position as an actor of the first plan. After the success of the film, his future in Hollywood became stronger than ever. It was the happiest time in Cooper's life. In addition, he fell in love with the actress Lupe Wells, about the passion for which he told everyone in a row, the director, Cleaners. Rumors that Cooper and Wells are going to get married. And the evening of the 13th of September in the press appeared in the sensational message, actress Lupe Wells at the station shot at point-blank range in his lover Hollywood actor Gary Cooper. Fortunately, she missed. Cooper has never been able to forget the horror he experienced then. Lupe did not know that the studio Paramount gave Cooper an ultimatum, to part either with her or with the role of the leading actor. Gary realized that he, the darling of the public, cannot dispose of his life as he wants. He became hostage to his own image. The public doesn't want you as a mediocre dog and catcher, Gary was told by his manager, and Cooper accepted it. He stopped smiling and fooling around, started collecting sports cars, going to Africa to hunt. But his manager kept up, "Old man, it's time for you to get married. You know how our public respects family values. Pick a girl from good society, preferably an aristocrat, something like the heroines of your films." Gary took that as an order. Soon at one of the receptions he meets 20-year-old Veronica Belf, a girl from the very highest society, the daughter of the richest financier. Sluggish courtship Cooper lasts a short time. The 15th of December 1933, he becomes the husband of Veronica. Marriage of convenience from day one became a burden for Cooper. He squeezed himself into a lifestyle that was completely contrary to his nature. But the public was moved to tears. Cooper had become a national treasure. Work becomes for Gary almost the only way to forget the routine and suffocation of family life. But, during one of the takes, Cooper fell from a horse and miraculously did not crash to death. From the hospital, he came out a different person, bile, irritable. Soon the impossible happens. 47-year-old Gary beats his wife. It's all over the newspapers. America is in shock. Called on the carpet to the bosses, Cooper launches a chair at the chief and shouts that he wants to quit the cinema. With great difficulty he is brought to his senses and persuaded to complete the film already in production. On the set, he meets actress Patricia Neal, who painfully reminds him of his first love, Lupe. For the first time in 30 years of his acting life, Cooper openly states to journalists that Neal, the greatest love of his life, and he intends to marry. Another film with Gary and Patricia fails miserably. Such a sacrifice the actor could not make. Telling Patricia that seriously ill daughter, Gary immediately returns to the family. Just the next day in the press appeared in the touching message, the actor Gary Cooper, treated in Florida from a nervous disorder, interrupted the holiday, barely learned about the illness of his beloved daughter. Now the family is back together. Gary's life was cut short a few days before his 60th birthday. He died a long and painful death in the arms of his wife and daughter. His soul had died much earlier,